Hey, everybody, and welcome to another installment, another edition of Work Your Career Wednesday. I'm Bradley Clark, and I am so grateful, so thankful that you decided to join us today. You know, being grateful and thankful rather, is sort of the overarching theme of today's show. Today we have a husband, a father, a minister, my friend, and author of the book Militant Thankfulness, and it's selling everywhere. It is in 3 Bible colleges and seminaries as required reading. Today, my guest is Dahlin. Dusty has a fantastic story, and he goes into it really in depth today. Some hard times, what he learned out of those hard times, being at the same company, going through a layoff, or going through, not a layoff, but a buyout, and how he had to deal with that. And, just some really, really challenging times, how he came out the other side of it, and what happened when the spark went off and he decided to write Militant Thankfulness. I'm telling you, this conversation really blessed me, and I am positive it's going to bless you. So, but before we get to that, let's talk about White Husky Films. If you have anything and everything pertaining to video, if you need something done, a music video, a podcast, a conference, whatever it is, get a hold of Steven Saldana. The number is on the screen, or you can always go to www.whitehuskyfilms.com. Contact us there, and telling you will be glad you did. So without further ado, please make welcome my friend and author, Dusty Dahlin. Dusty, there's so much, and we're going to get into it. But, you're an author, speaker, all of that. I want to get into the book a little bit later. But really, I think our audience needs to hear your story, because, my goodness, it is incredible. It is incredible. So take it away, man.
Well, I do appreciate you asking about my story. It's been kind of a very interesting ride, a roller coaster, if you will, lots of ups and downs, forwards and backwards. And I guess I'll just start here, because what I want the takeaway for our viewers today, our listeners today, to be is that in me sharing my story, I want you to come away with a sense of meaning for your career, your job, and even in life, potentially. Because I really don't believe that we can really excel or strive for excellence without a deep-seated, a deep-rooted sense of meaning and passion. So let me share my story. My story, again, it's a bit of a roller coaster. So I got out of drugs, right? Oh gosh, back in
drugs got out of you. I think that's probably
drugs got out of
a better
me.
way to go.
Absolutely. But coffee is now my new addiction, coffee and bubbly water. So
you know what we used to call this? Bubbly water. Man, I can't get enough of bubbly water.
Right?
What do you got?
I'm hooked. I got it right there.
So in Texas, we are big on Topo Chico. Ask your wife about that. It is incredible. And with Topo, you can't, when you're unscrewing the lid, you can't be too quick about it. It's an art. You have to, so you gotta unscrew it, let it, because otherwise you're gonna be, it's gonna be like the World Series. You know what I mean? All over you. So I can't get enough of it. And of course, what we used to call this. So it's true.
Oh, yes. Yes. Christian crack is what we used to call it.
So we have a friend who is he's a like a legend special effects artist. And he challenged me. He goes, I told him, I said, hey man, we were going to talk, and I said, I'm just coming back from the Star of Bucks. I said, give me about 5 minutes, right? And so he goes, stop drinking coffee. It stifles your creativity. I said, okay. I said, I see where this is going. Okay, we're gonna have a little challenge sesh. And so
Mm.
and so I said, you know what? Okay, challenge accepted. And I don't know. I don't think it stifled my creativity, but you definitely there is a mind shift. I will say that after the headache, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I did it for a while, but obviously I'm I would say this is me back on the horse. You know what I'm saying? I'm back on the fish.
Back on the fish. Well, I
In fact,
will,
I'm
to
back
my
on the
credit,
mermaid.
back on the mermaid. The mermaid, merman, father, merman.
Merman. Well, I can't see this blur thing.
There it is.
The
Oh
fish.
yeah, yeah. I worked at Starbucks for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And I never drank coffee before I got hired there. And let me tell you, when they say the first one's always free, they're not,
Ah!
they're talking about giving you. And they do, okay? They
The
do. They give
first
you
one's
shit.
free, buddy. Oh,
Oh my
I've
goodness.
always wondered, like, when you work at Starbucks, like, do you have to pay for the drinks? Are you serious? So they
So
want you running.
yes. So what they do is they give you, you'll be blown away, as many free coffee beverages as you want, 30 minutes prior to your shift, through your
Yeah.
shift, to 30 minutes after your shift.
And y'all got the secret sauce. Like y'all got the
Yes.
you know what I mean? The rocket fuel.
Yes.
And you're good to
Yes.
go. You know what's funny? And I real quick, I want to talk to you about this really quickly. I just saw a podcast with Patrick Bet David.
Oh yeah.
I love that guy, honestly.
He's brilliant.
Oh man. I was watching him when he was doing nothing but interviewing like legends. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, how are you getting these people? Probably the same way I am, God is good. But he was talking and he had video, and there's a software that surveils, and I don't know if it was Starbucks or not. I don't know, but it was a coffee shop. And you got, Martha and I don't know, Jessica and, David, whatever. And they're all working, and you can see one of them is chilling. That old saying, if you can lean, you can clean kind of thing. And they're definitely leaning. And then you have Jessica, she's there and just killing it. And David's moving, and so it was measuring how much you work.
Interesting.
Right. So, somebody's getting fired based on their lack of productivity, like
Sure.
blatant lack of productivity. Invasive or brilliant? Because I don't know yet.
Yeah,
See?
that's a good question. That's a good question. I have to wrap my mind around that a little more fully.
Well,
But I mean,
you've managed people,
mhm.
and and so have I, and I can see it being an effective management tool.
So what,
I don't
yeah,
know.
so the way part of part of how I'm processing it is as soon as they put on, whether it's Starbucks or not, right?
Mhm.
As soon as they put on a uniform, they're a representative of the brand, of the company. So part of me thinks that it's not quite as invasive as we might make it
Yeah,
out to be, right? Because we do need to hold our employees accountable. To what extent, right? There's a healthy extent, there's an unhealthy extent, right?
right.
Those are some of the pieces that I need to work out too on
I
that
mean,
type
it's
of
just.
software and AI programming.
It's just like, where are we going? I can see where we're going. Do we want
Yeah.
to go there? You know what I mean? It was really interesting. His guest had a really interesting view on it, very similar to yours. She said, well, if they know they're being watched, it's kind of like when, the adult walks in the room or your manager walks in the room, and all of a sudden, if you're slouching, all of a sudden you're sitting straight up and, oh, yes, oh, hello, yes, da, 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 da. So if you know that that's happening, exactly. So if that's happening, what kills me though why are we in a time where we have where we have to have a software like that, you know? I just anyway, it's an interesting time. And and I asked the question. It's like, well, how did that happen? How did that
It,
happen?
it is it is interesting. And when you think about it, right, to
Yeah,
some extent, managers have been using tools already to
sure,
track their employees and watch their productivity, spreadsheets, right?
right,
And all these dashboards for numbers and cells.
yeah,
So, as a manager, right, it to some extent, it feels like the next step, right? The next progression to just further accountability, being able to support,
yeah.
perhaps, right? I'm hoping these things are used to support and coach and train their employees as well, not just, you know, not just rule with an iron fist. Okay,
Well,
that's my hope.
not just Orwellian.
Or oh, right,
You know what
right,
I mean? So it's like,
yes.
you know, man. Okay, that was a nice side track, dude. Okay, let's get into your story. I tell you, when we met all those years ago, there and I'll just say this right off the bat. Uh, you are an encourager. You are you're the guy that you go to when you need a lift, like, but the way you've always done it is in grace and, dare I say, love, because you're not afraid of correction, you know, and, throughout, your ministry, because you've had one or have one, you have a ministry. Um, I think that's part of the reason why, so many people are attracted to it, you know, beyond, you know, you being an author and you being very vocal about and we're going to get to your story. I promise everybody we're going to get to your story, but you've been very, you know, open about it. And it's just brilliant. But, it was kind of like, you know, uh, Jesus, for example, everyone's like, well, he walked with sinners and he was, with drunks and tax collectors and this and that. Yeah. But they didn't leave the same after the encounter. And I think of, a lot of people that I know, you embody that to where it's like, yeah, I can go there for encouragement. When I'm feeling like I can't do anything, it's, 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 you can do it. But then wait a minute, here's some tools to help you do it. What do you need me to do to help you do it? So they don't leave the same. It's not just a surface thing with you. And that's the way it's always been. I mean,
I appreciate that.
well, it's a fact. It is a fact. So, man, where do you want to begin? I just don't know. I don't even know. I mean, let's do the story. Let's do your
Yeah,
story.
let's do the story. Let's do the story. Um, and I'll tell you this, since you mentioned kind of my perspective of life and the
Mhm.
grace and love with which and compassion with which I try to live at all times. The way I see it, Brad, is the world is just full of negativity, skepticism, right? Hurt, pain, all of these things, complaint. And I don't need to add to that. Why add to it, right? And I'm trying to embody that and bring a little extra positivity into the world. Not just Jesus, right? Because as I tell you my story now, you'll see that I am a Christian, okay,
Yeah.
and it's just part of my story. So I got out of drugs. I got out of drugs in 2007, September of 2007, sometime, somewhere around there. And um, I I get out the drugs. I feel like there's some new possibilities with life, right? I felt captivated, right? Not captivated, captured by the addiction for so long. I didn't think there was anything else in the world to do. So I get off drugs. I find Jesus, right? This little inpatient drug rehab program that I went through.
Yeah.
So I did what I thought was the next best thing, right? So I graduate, spent 13 months in this program. I
Was
graduate and I
now
go into a
was that your
Bible college.
idea? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was that your idea or was it your family's idea? Was it like I need to make a change, or was your family like you making a change? That's happening.
So it's a long story. So I'll give you the thumbnail.
Okay.
So there was a bit of an ultimatum by my parents at the time because I was still pretty
Yeah.
young. But really, my motivation to go into this inpatient program was to get off the streets. I had started
Mhm.
this big old thing. I was never a gangster, but I had a lot of friends that were in gangs and stuff, and I started a turf war on accident. So I had to get off the street. I had to go into hiding, and I literally thought that the best way to do that was to hide myself away at in this program, and that's what I did. And as a result, I found I found God. I started reading the Bible, and I realized that there were some more possibilities for life too beyond just
Yeah.
me, right, and my
Yeah.
addiction.
So you saw a lot of heartache and pain, and in that life, and so wow, interesting. Okay. Man, it's interesting because it gives a lot of color to who you are, now, you know,
It
and
does.
who you've been. I mean, I think it's hard for people to understand. Yeah, I've always said that the most down person uh, for the Lord is somebody that knows that life.
Yeah.
They are down, and people are like, why, man? You don't know what they've gone through. You don't know what they've seen. So that's interesting. Okay, so sorry. All right, go ahead. So go ahead.
No, it's good. So I get out of the program, I graduate, I go into a little Bible college seminary,
Yeah,
um, local one out here in Sacramento. And as I'm going through getting my bachelor's degree at the time, as I was getting my bachelor's degree, I was like, you know what? I kind of feel called, right, Brad? I'm like, I kind of feel called to start a church. I like helping people, right? So I want to start a church. I want to be a pastor. So as I'm in there getting my bachelor's degree, I graduate, and what do? I start building my leadership team, right? And I start spreading the word amongst my friends, family, and I start getting ready to build my church. And we
yeah,
were we were ready. We were so ready. What happened was as we continued to build, we got closer and closer to our launch date. We had the team, we had the congregation, we had a building, okay? And the sun was about to rise on launching this church when one by one, and I'm not exaggerating, one by one, every single one of my leadership team dropped out. And I'm not bitter or resentful about it, right? They were all legitimate reasons, family, career move, different things like that. So one by one, they all drop out. I mean, we are days away from this. And then the next thing my wife and I know is we're there. We're the only ones standing there thinking we're going to try to launch this church by ourselves. So we had a good talk. We're like, I don't think so. We asked each other, is it healthy for us to do this with by ourselves without accountability, without a leadership team to support the vision? And we decided to pull the plug. We pulled the plug, um, and we were like, okay, we're just going to pull the plug and we're just going to keep doing what we're doing right now and try to make the best of it. And so in that season, I was working in pest control. I was working in pest control. I was doing it just as a job, Brad, to pay the bills until I launched
sure.
this church. Once we decided to forget about that for that season, I was like, you know what? I'm in no hurry. I'm going to plug into this job as more than a job. I'm going to plug into it as a career. So I plug in. I'm working in pest control, right? Super glorious job. And I refocused, right? I've always been one of those people, Brad. I always put all of my eggs in one basket, right? And it was
It's all or
true here.
nothing. Yeah.
It's all or nothing. So I
Yeah.
put all my eggs in the pest control bucket, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do it right. So I'm working there. All of a sudden, I pass up a couple promotions just because I didn't feel ready, right, to go to a
You passed
super.
them up.
Yeah, I decided I wasn't quite ready. I wanted to
Wow.
really work the entry level position I was working with a level of excellence that prepared me for the next season, right, for the supervisor position.
Wow.
So I passed him up. Finally, my manager was like, "No, Dusty." He's like, "I'm promoting you." Literally, he said those words. He's like, "I'm promoting you. You're not going to say no." I said, "Well," I said, "if you think I'm ready,
Okay, fine.
then, then I'm ready. It's
If
fine."
you think
He twisted
so.
my arm, so I accepted, and
What was that? Was it the like second or third attempt that he had tried to promote you? And
this
then finally he was
was
just like,
second.
okay, so he was just like, dude, stop it. You're
Yes,
being promoted. So
yes,
we're we're done. Go
yes,
do great things.
yeah. And he was one of those old school managers too, right? Kind of ruled, right, with a bit of an
Yeah.
iron fist. And he's like, if you don't accept this promotion, nobody's going to fill that spot, and our branch won't be the same. It was something along those lines. I can't remember
Yeah,
exactly, but it
that
was
is so
right. I was like,
cool.
okay. I was like, I told you yes, like we're good.
I'll
So
take
we
it.
did that. I accepted. I got trained for it. I eventually started. So I went from there. I started managing our commercial department out here in the Sacramento area. So I did that. I learned a lot about myself, how to manage people, how to manage a team. Um, I just learned a ton, and it was going really, really good. Several of my managers above me were telling me we're going to train you for so you can be your own branch manager. All of this stuff, right? It was really exciting. Things were moving pretty quick after I accepted that position. I got put in the a very prestigious 1 year intensive. It's a leadership development intensive as well. I got put in that pretty early on. During this whole season, things took a little bit of a left turn. Okay. Long story short, we got acquired, right? We got acquired, which means things, change is going to happen. Okay. We
Right.
got we got acquired. Positions were starting to get cut across the company. Um, New pay plans, right? New pay plans
Right.
were being written. A lot of people were losing a lot of money for the same job, myself included. So in that season, um, it really hurt. It really hurt. It took a huge financial toll on my family. I mean, we're out here in California. The cost of living is very high. I know Brad, the cost of living is very
Dude.
high. So, I mean, I went from making really good money to going to
Well, put it
receiving
in
a.
perspective. So okay, how many years were you in the same position when the acquisition happened? Like it was like a couple years, right?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Okay.
It was about
So
two or three.
two or three. So you're looking at everything's going well. Um, they made it clear nothing's going to change. We're all good. And so you stay in your position. Then all of a sudden, something happens. Things get slashed, budgets and positions. And you went from making good six-figure money down to what is it in California? I forget. I don't remember.
Oh, you mean minimum wage?
Is that where you were at? Because you got bumped down to entry level.
I did. I did. So
So whatever that
I
is.
decided, yeah. So because I was one of the senior, one of the senior members
Yeah.
within our management team, they decided to offer me give me a choice. So they said, you can stay in your position, continue doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. Um, under the new pay, the new job requirements too, or you have the choice to go back in the field. So I made the choice to go back into the field, entry level position,
So we're
because
talking good 6 figures down to, I don't know, 40 grand, 50 grand a year
it
or
wasn't,
less.
yeah, it's not much. And I
Okay.
made the
So,
choice because ultimately I'd be making the same as I would be making in a management position.
and
So
you're
I
like,
made,
you know
that's why,
what? Yeah. And you're like, I'm going out in the field, which is
mhm,
really interesting because you're talking about when you got promoted, you're like, you turned it down once and you're like, I want to make this excellent before I move on, which is really smart because you're setting a standard because they want to promote you, but you're trying to set a standard. And then eventually, 3 years later, you're getting that opportunity, let's say. Wow.
yes.
Man, that's
Yeah. And
awesome.
one thing
Incredible.
I've never been when it comes to a career of any sort, I've never
Yeah.
been impatient, right? I've never been
Really?
impatient. I'm a very energetic person. You can probably tell. Very energetic. Um, just ready to
But
go
that
at all
doesn't
times.
translate to just because people mistake energy for lack of patience. And that's not
I
the
tell
way it
people
is with
this
you.
when I train people, like even today when I'm
Yeah.
training people, right?
Yeah.
Um, I tell people this. I said, I just want to let you know that sometimes my excitement and enthusiasm can come across as impatient. I am not impatient. I said, I am all in. Right. So I want them
Okay.
to know that, if my energy, is read as impatient or
That
agitated, right?
that's not
I
where
want
we're
them to know
talking.
that it's not it. I'm
Yeah.
just, I'm just excited. I'm an excited human being.
Awesome. That is awesome. Okay. So you get bumped, you go down to the field. I mean, it's pretty amazing that they decided to keep you, right? Because I'm sure that there were other people that they didn't, or maybe they gave the option knowing that they're going to be, 90% of the people are going to say, okay, yeah, thanks for shopping. I'm good, you know, or I'll stay here in this position while I'm looking because
Yes,
it's easier to be on LinkedIn, uh, in the office than it is to be on LinkedIn in the field, right?
it's true. It's true.
Really
And,
interesting.
I've done, and I felt good about it, right? I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the same money. It's still really hard. And that's the part of my
Right.
story I want to emphasize here as I continue. It was still really, really hard.
What was
Um,
hard about it?
the financial loss was the
Okay.
hardest part, Brad.
And to put that in
Like,
perspective, you're married, you got 2 boys,
mhm. Yep, I'm married, two healthy, beautiful boys.
own a
I own a
home.
home. hmm I own my
Okay.
home. Um, and because of where we were, my wife didn't have to work,
Right.
right? She could homeschool our boys, and it was good. So now I find
Yeah.
myself in this horrible financial hardship where my wife can't find a job, right? She just
Mm.
can't seem to get one. I mean, we're reading all this stuff like, hey, everybody's hiring, everybody's trying to employ. She can't get a job with the poor thing, right?
Right. Yeah.
So she's trying. I'm the sole income for our household. And it got so hard, Brad, where we had to cut out every novelty, right? Every convenience. We even had to cut back on our grocery, right? Our budget for groceries. Even cut back on that. We started bringing in groceries from food banks, right? Food closets, which was a huge blessing at the time.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it was really hard, and I want to almost overemphasize how hard it was. So it was so hard that for quite a bit of season, I intentionally wasn't eating breakfasts. I wasn't eating lunches, right? I would just come home and I would eat dinner with my family, but I wasn't eating those meals so that there would be enough food on the table for my boys and my wife, right? Like it was hard. And I would get so hungry. It was discouraging and it was painful. I mean, there would be days, Brad, I would be so hungry. I'd be sitting in my little work truck, right? At the time, I'd be sitting in my little work truck, and they used to give us little boxes of raisins for our rat traps, right? Raisins are great bait for rats. Okay, total side note. They would give us little boxes of raisins, and I would be so hungry. I would secretly eat my raisins just to put something in my stomach, and it was hard. It was so hard. We couldn't seem to get out of the red. But the reason why I want to focus on that element of my story and really emphasize the struggle is because it allowed me to do some reflection, to do some introspection. And it was in that season, Brad, where I realized that this career, the career that I had in pest control, the career had really only been about myself. And that the only meaning I found, right, the sense of significance or purpose that I found in that job was truly entirely selfish. It was about the paycheck. It was about how much money I could make, how many sales I could bring in, how many leads I could generate, right? It was all about me. And during that season of hardship, I mean, true hardship, my I realized that if that was my only sense of significance and purpose, my meaning, right? Meaning for me was for what I could get out of it, then life was pretty bleak in the sense that there was, you know, there wasn't a lot more I could get or give in order to enrich and enhance my life, if that makes sense. So it was in
Wow.
that season where I realized that I could have a greater sense of meaning, right? Defining that a little bit, significance and purpose, and also reclaim a lot of the passion that I had lost if I could find meaning in what I could give to others as opposed to what I could extract from others for my benefit. So
Wow.
it was a really important season for me because I realized that no matter what I did, I mean, it was so good. I realized that no matter what I did, whether I was entry level, right, mid manager, supervisor, mid manager, or VP of some beautiful brand, I could genuinely, I could genuinely find meaning in everything I do because my whole purpose in life was to give to others. Now I know that could sound to some of you watching or listening, that could sound a bit anecdotal, but it actually saved my life. It actually saved my life because I was not in a good headspace. I was not doing well. I just was not doing well.
So in that season, you were telling me a story, just absolutely amazing. And you're talking about being excellent in what you do, right? You were telling me a
Oh,
story
yes.
about a family with. Now, this is after you get bumped down, right? You're going through it, trying to find the meaning. Maybe I don't know if this was before or after you had this realization, but tell us about that. You got to tell the story. It is absolutely amazing.
So, oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So finding that sense of meaning in what I could give to others,
Yeah.
really I found really shift my ability and even desire to pursue excellence in what I was doing, right? It really did. And it was in also in that season when I had this revelation, this realization that life is more than just about what I can extract from people.
Yeah.
Um, I, you know, I
all the
really
while
looked for
eating little
help.
raisin boxes,
Raisin bucket. Oh, Lord help me,
wondering if
man.
I'm going to be able to keep. Well, wondering if I'm going to be able to keep my house. Wondering if I'm going to be able to
Yeah.
keep my lights on for my family. Wondering if I'm going to be
Hmm.
able to, um, keep my car. Wondering if I'm going to be able, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? The your mind is swirling like this,
It's really.
right? You're spiraling a little bit, right? And you're going, what's going on? And you get this call.
Hmm. I get a call. I'll tell you two stories. I'll tell you two stories. I get a call, and um, it's a sweet older gentleman, Brad. I get a call, and sorry about that. I get a call. He's asking for an inspection for roaches. Okay, so I'm like, sure, I'll help you out with those roaches, right? So I pick up the inspection. I go out there, and I get there, and the sweet man, he lives in a modular home. He comes to the door with a little face mask on, right? Um, it used to be a white face mask, but now it was speckled. It was speckled from bed bug feces, right? So I mean, as we're talking, like I'm watching bed bugs crawl out of his mask, his little mask, right? They're all over his clothes. They're in every wall seam, every piece of furniture. And it broke me, right? I mean, this poor old guy he couldn't, I mean, he was ashamed and embarrassed to leave his house because of bed bugs. And I had the ability to not just let him know that, number one, you don't have to worry about it. Let me help you, right? Number two, I was able to get this guy free of bed bugs, right? Entirely get rid of them and allow him to live a normal life, right? I was able to give him that, right? And it really makes you feel good. So for those of you watching or listening, right, you can find meaning, purpose, passion in anything you do, no matter how dirty it is, right? You really can. There's another story doing an inspection, right? We go in, we get a call. They call us this time for bed bugs. Get out there, start doing the inspection, flashlight, we're looking around. And I noticed something interesting. I'm not finding any bed bugs, but I notice the kids don't, their eyebrows. They don't have eyebrows or eyelashes.
So you're
And
doing the inspection there. The kids are kind of following you around. You
yeah,
probably look like a Ghostbuster,
I do.
that kind of thing,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so
So
they're
they're
like, oh
following
my
me around.
gosh, this is so cool.
They're asking me questions, right? They're like, "Ooh, what's he looking for?" That type of thing.
Yeah.
I get there, and so when they get closer and they continue to ask me these questions, I notice there's no eyebrows or eyelashes. There's just no facial hair on these young kids, right? So
How young
light
are we
bulb.
talking? Like five,
I'm gonna
six?
guess. Yeah, I'm gonna guess between 7 and 5 is my guess.
Wow. Wow.
And
Okay.
yeah, so
And
I
just
I
void
noticed
of
that.
of eyebrows and eyelashes and
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And so, the light bulb goes off, and so I asked the parents to take me into the kids' room. And I look, the first place I go is the mattresses, and I I find, I'm so sorry, I get emotional every time. And there's German roaches living and breeding in the mattresses. And I the reason why I suspected that might be the case is because, they'll eat anything. They're omnivorous, right? So at night, what those German roaches were doing is they were coming out, they were eating all of the eyebrows, eyelashes off of these kids as they're sleeping. And and you know, I was able to give these kids their life back, right? Send
Oh,
them off to school without, the shame of not having eyebrows because kids are mean, Brad, right? Like they probably got made fun of in school. I don't know. But I was able to
yeah.
give them some normalcy back, by getting rid of those so they could live a little bit more of a normal life without, the embarrassment of that type of
Man.
thing.
And this is after you got busted down to your entry level job that you had years before. This is you're going through probably the hardest time in your life.
Yes.
You're eating raisins from those little tiny raisin boxes.
Yes.
You are losing weight, and probably people are like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
Mm-hmm.
And
I was returning to some of my old customers right after a while,
yeah.
and some of them didn't recognize me, Brad.
So,
Some of them did not recognize me because I had lost so much weight.
well, and then you probably have people that are thinking one thing,
Maybe.
who knows?
Yeah.
And wow. But all the
So
while,
here's
you have
yeah,
the
all
opportunity. If you hadn't have gotten busted down, who knows? Who knows? Maybe somebody else wouldn't have found it. Maybe they would. I mean, you guys are, I mean, you work for a great company. You know what I mean? And with the education that they give you, also knowing the German, I mean, I'm in Texas. We got them so big, they fly. And like, I haven't seen a small one. And the only reason I know the small ones is because when I got to Texas, I saw some big ones, man. Like, they are huge out here. They fly, they talk to you. They're like, hey, what's happening? So,
yeah.
but knowing you and how driven you are with education and wanting to know things, you put it together. These kids, the mm,
and that's why, more than the
I mean,
stories, right? Yeah. No,
amazing.
I know, and that's why I wanted to share this little season of my life, because it really doesn't matter how much you're making, right? You can make great money, you can make no money, right?
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if we can start, whether we're management or employee, right, or direct report, we can really find enthusiasm, passion for helping other people, and we can truly find meaning wherever we are and whatever season we're in, and it can drive us. It can drive us and help. The other thing, um, and pursue excellence in whatever season we're in, right? Like I was so excited about having this new found purpose of helping other people. I literally found myself wanting to be the best employee I could be again, right? Like, it relit the fire under my tush. Okay. Like, it was great. Even though financial hardship was still there. Okay. Even though that was still there, like, I found myself desiring sincerely to pursue excellence. Um, and that's
So
why that's one of the reasons.
instead of being bitter, you decided to be
Yes.
better.
Yes. Because
Dusty,
my bitterness, my
go ahead.
bitterness and my hurt was also from, looking mostly out for myself anyway, right? Was part of that epiphany, right? Like, well, I can't extract anything from you anymore, right? There's no financial gain at the time. There's no financial gain. So,
If it don't
right?
make money,
Like, that was my whole purpose.
if it
Was
don't
just
make
about
money,
what
it
you
don't
can
make
do for me.
sense.
Right. Right.
Dusty, we're gonna
But
we're
the
gonna
other
take a quick hold on. We're gonna take a quick break. Hold that thought, everybody. Stay tuned. We will be right back with author and all around awesome guy, Dusty Dahlin. Stay with us.
Attention lawyers. Are you tired of wasting thousands of dollars in billboards, magazines, and more with little results? If so, we can help you save big. Did you know that a powerful video can be used on practically any platform and get you more clients than just one billboard alone? Visit our website at whitehuskyfilms.com. Call or text us today to receive a limited time offer. Take advantage of this one while it's here. It won't last long.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Work Your Career Wednesday. I am here with author of Militant Thankfulness. I don't have my book yet. Sorry, and my Kindle. There you go, Militant Thankfulness. You can get these on Amazon. You can go to his website, militantthankfulness.com. I can't wait till we start talking about that. But okay, so where we're at in the story, you are, all of these things are going on. You start your mind, you get a 180. It's all of a sudden, it's like the light bulb goes off and it's like, wait a minute, I'm here to serve, because that's all we got.
That's all we got. And part of the process for that mental shift too, was I also stumbled across the practice of gratitude in that season.
Really?
Yes. So I stumbled across some. I mean, it's crazy. It's amazing. You can look at.
So, how did you stumble across it? That's it. Okay. Now I remember. That's a great story.
Yes. Okay. So here's how it goes. Me and my buddies, we would call each other from time to time. I'm sorry. We pretty much talk to each other every day, right? I'll just call it for what it is. We speak every single day. We talk about God. We talk about the Bible. We talk about our struggles and our victories. We do all of that, right? We pray for each other. And one day, one of my friends calls me, right, from this group. Yeah. One of my friends calls me, and I'm getting on a ladder, right, to go check an attic space to remove a rat. And I'm just about to remove this horribly decomposing rat from a trap, when he asked me this question. And this question was what sent my mind into a spiral, and it was also part of what kept me sane, and helped in that mental shift during that season. He asked me this question. He opened up the book of Ephesians, and he says, "Dusty, I want you to finish how this passage ends." And he says, he quotes the passage, right? He says, "Do not let there be any foolish talk or crude joking, sexual immorality, impurity, or covetousness among you, but instead let there be," he pauses dramatically. He says, "Dusty, I want you to finish that verse." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm a pastor. I've been teaching the Bible for a little while. I got this, right?
I know this book.
So I'm like, well, what's that?
I know this book.
Yeah,
bring it, buddy.
Book, right? So I said, I'm assuming it's the antithetical behaviors to the carnal ones listed, right, or the sinful or wicked ones just listed. So I start saying, wholesome speech, purity, generosity, right, all of those things which are antithetical to the ones listed. And he says, "You're wrong." He said, "Oh,"
and you're
like,
"What?"
Being wrong, right? So he says, actually, it says, "But instead of all those things, practice thankfulness." And it really sent my mind into a spiral, because it really made me wonder how the practice of thanksgiving, the practice of gratitude, can be diametrically opposed, okay, to some of these woesome behaviors. Like, how can that even be possible? So I started looking into it. I found some incredible secular psychologists.
So now you're going down the rabbit hole.
So I'm going down the rabbit hole now.
Yeah.
Right. And as I start finding all of these case studies and these different experiments that they do to show the incredible psychological, physical, mental health, vocational, relational benefits to practicing gratitude, I'm thinking to myself, well, this is amazing. And a lot of these case studies are fairly new, right? Within, recent history. And I'm like, well, I love it when science catches up with the Bible, right? So so that's,
There you go.
it was that question as I'm removing a dead rat from a trap, right? It was that question from my friend that sent me into this journey that not just encouraged me, right?
Right.
Incentivized me to write this book, but also to practice the power of this ancient discipline, if you will. So, in that,
Wow.
a step backwards again, in that season, Brad, I was, I felt no gratitude at all, right? I was hurt. There was nothing but pain, right? Truly. And I made it a point, though, to continue to practice gratitude even when I felt none, because one of the most profound and powerful aspects to intentionally and regularly practicing thankfulness is the fact that it shifts the mind off of your current circumstance and onto the positive things in life, onto those blessings in your life, right? Even though I didn't feel grateful, I was able to shift my mind off of circumstance and onto the blessings, my kids, my family, my wife, my little home, right? Parents that are still married, that love me. I've got breath in my lungs. I mean, I even found myself being thankful once for doorknobs. Like, have you ever walked through a dark house, Brad, and like you can't find the light switch because it's like you just woke up, it's the middle of the night, you have to use the restroom, and like the light switch, you don't want to turn it on, but the doorknobs are all at the same height. Like, how awesome is it
Yeah.
that the doorknobs are all at the same height? So you just naturally just find the doorknob. Anyway, all that
Wow.
to say, it was the practice of that, the continuous shifting of my mind off of myself, off of my own hurts, back onto others and how I can benefit them, and onto God, right, is
Wow.
truly what helped also keep me sane and stable and arguably save my life, truly. Because
Wow.
I really was not in a very good spot.
I mean, not for nothing. At that point, you're going, instead of going, "Oh, I gotta get these raisins, I gotta keep going." Now you're saying, I'm so thankful they make raisins.
Yes,
I mean, what would
it's
be how
true.
I mean, it's cool. They serve so many purposes.
Right.
I think that's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. Stop
Yeah.
it. Stop it. This is great. So then what happened? So you go down this rabbit, and it's so cool. You go down this rabbit hole and you're like, you know what? I want to do probably one of the hardest things I can do. Or well, wait a minute. So, okay, let's close out this season, right? So this is going on. How long was this season for? Probably felt a lot shorter after you got thankful.
It did. Um,
A year or two,
yeah, maybe maybe closer to 2 or 3,
2 or 3
somewhere in
years.
there. Yes.
So you find this thankfulness. You're like, okay, yes, I have it now. Oh, wow. And then you go down the rabbit hole. You find secular sources. I mean, well, like from Harvard and different universities, different really great professors, published, obviously. And so you're in this season. Then what happens with work?
So it so I was able again, right, um, reshift my mind off of self onto
Yeah.
others and what I could give, shift my mind off of self and onto the current and present blessings in my life, right?
Wow. Current and
All of these little,
I love that.
you like that?
Well, I
All
love
of
that.
those,
Well, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off, but the reason I love it is because when that shift happens, then all of a sudden, you know days go by. When you have to be present. If you live in the past, you're done, right?
yeah,
If you're living for the future, you're not. available in the present. I mean, an hour ago is history.
So true. Absolutely.
So you got to be thankful
Absolutely.
because we're constantly rushing into the future, 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time. So it's just that's so impressive. Okay, please, sorry. I'm going to try not to interrupt you, but I mean,
you're good.
It happens.
No, it's please interrupt as much as you want, because there's, I want my story to do more than just encourage somebody or motivate somebody, right?
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that this story, Brad, will help people kind of think for themselves. Okay, like if you don't mind, can I explain that a little
Please.
bit?
I love that.
Okay.
I love that.
So so it was that season. I was doing a lot of self-reflection. Okay. A lot of introspection, right? What's my meaning? We had talked about that. What's my purpose? Is there anything to be excited or passionate about anymore? Right. And I realized that, I really realized that I had really taken a lot of the current narrative that's out in the world right now, right? And just believed it. I had been indoctrinated by it. And I thought that it was always and forever supposed to be about me. And I did that subconsciously without even realizing that there can be more than just, don't be a doormat, stand up and fight for yourself. And, you know, you know,
Yeah.
if your boss doesn't appreciate you, then you need to find a new job, like whatever, right? Like I thought it was always supposed to be self-directed,
Know your worth.
right? Know your worth, right? And a lot of those things aren't inherently bad, but because the narrative was so self-focused, right,
Yeah.
for most of us, I realized that I had taken that and I had lost the art of um, of reflection and introspection. We've lost it, and I want my story to, maybe like if you're in a hard season like me, please sit down, think about what is your meaning, your purpose, what are the things in your life that you can be passionate about, even while you're in the season that you're in now. Think about what it is you can be grateful for, right? Think about yourself as more than just an island to yourself, somebody who's supposed to fight for their rights, which again isn't bad, right? But just about yourself. The world is full of people who need something more. And I really do think that one of the greatest tragedies in America right now is the loss of that art form of introspection, Brad.
Yeah.
And I was forced into it, which was such a blessing. In hindsight, I was forced
Wow.
into re-examining myself and what I wanted during that time. So I would love to encourage you to take a couple minutes today or tomorrow, whoever's watching this, today or tomorrow, and sit back and think, you know what? Does my life have bigger meaning, greater purpose? Is there, what is in my life now that I can find desire and passion for in the midst of whatever you're going through? And you might be doing great, but I still want to encourage you to think about it. Reclaim that lost art.
Meaning, purpose, and passion.
Meaning, yeah, purpose, passion, and gratitude. And gratitude, right? Shift that mind. It's so valuable.
You down with MPP.
MPP.
And also G.
MPPG.
I love that. Right?
It's gonna be
I
my
love
next
that.
shirt. It's gonna be the next
You
shirt.
down with MPP and also G? So good, man. Oh, I love this. Yeah. Oh, Dusty, we're having I'm just loving this conversation. Dusty Dahlin, really prolific author of Militant Thankfulness. So, okay, couple years, you're forced into introspection. You're finding gratitude in the things that in times that were awful. You are helping people you would never have gotten to help had it not been for everything going on. 2 years later, what happens with your job, with your yeah, well, I guess with your job. I mean, it's more than that. With your career path, what was the next thing that happened?
So the next thing that happens is I kind of pull my head out of the sand, right? I've got new eyes, right? New eyes for life. And all of a sudden things just kind of take a turn in ministry, right? I'm a associate pastor at a small church now out in Citrus Heights, California, which love, 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 love my church. It's amazing. I have the opportunity to start doing some seminars and workshops on gratitude as a spiritual discipline. And I do want to say this, like, if you're watching right now, I know I'm a pretty vocal Christian, but if you're watching right now and you're not a Christian, I want to encourage you to consider practicing gratitude anyways, because the science behind it really can be life-changing, right? Like it's shown to reduce depression, anxiety, stress, right? Just to name some of the things. And I want that for you. I don't want you to live a stressed life. Like that's lame, right? I live that. I don't want you to live that either. So start the practice. So
that's really good. That's really good.
Yeah.
So okay, so I just want to get back to this. You're at your job. Things are, I mean, you're looking like a Calvin Klein model at this point. And
yes,
things are going badly. All of a sudden, somebody comes up to you and says, this stuck out to me the other day when we talked. They said, man, what is up with you? It's like all this is going on and you were so happy. It's like you're the CEO. Like you are the like you're the guy.
So
what is up with you? Talk to us about that. What a compliment.
Yeah, because we're talking about working your career and to work your career with excellence, right? Might just mean to refocus on what it is in that job and in that season that you can find purpose and meaning in. But and I don't want that to sound anecdotal at all. Like I'm dead serious. But I go through this whole thing. One of my coworkers comes up to me, right? And you can tell a lot of my coworkers in that season were like, oh my gosh, like
eggshells.
I feel so bad for Dusty, right? Like you could tell.
Oh no, wait a minute. So the pity thing.
It was the pity.
Such a good guy. Well, how could this shouldn't have happened? Oh my God. Oh Lord, hey bro, that ain't you, man. You don't do well with that. I'll tell you that.
I don't do well with pity. I just don't. But this young coworker of mine comes up to me. He's like, Dusty, you're standing up straight and you're walking around here like you own the place, like you're the CEO of this, of the company.
And huge company, by the way, huge,
very large.
But sorry, go ahead.
Very successful. No, for sure. And and I could tell he's asking that because he's like, shouldn't you be hurt and broken and miserable and angry? Right? You could tell how he asked it. It was intended in that way. And I said, I'm realizing that there's more. There's more things in my life that I can be thankful for. There's more things in my life that I can do to contribute to the lives of others. And he didn't know what to do with that. So he turned and walked away, right? But
it's like, man, we get to come to work today.
Yes.
Bro, are you serious? We get to go out and help people today. Yes. We get to go, man, we get to go experience things that we never would have experienced. Oh man. When that happens, I've known people like that over the years. And there's two, and I became one. And there's two types of people. They either get real inspired by it, they get real, ticked off about it. Like they're like all of a sudden, their emotional stability is shaken. but I love that. I love that. And it's not an, at this point, it's not an act, man. Like, this is real talk. I feel great. And man, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Are there, I don't know if you want to talk about this, but there's a specific thing you were talking to me about the other day that I'm sure it's in the book. I don't know if you want to give it away, but I thought it was so cool because I used to carry like 1 ounce silver bullion rounds, or I'd have a coin like an American Silver Eagle, something like that, and I'd have it in my pocket. And I, whenever I was feeling a little low, I would put my hand in my pocket and I feel that, because sometimes, in everybody's career, there gets to a point where it's like, there's a superficiality about it. At least, that's the way it's been for me. So I take that coin out and I feel it because that was real, man. It's almost 100% silver. Wow. And I get to have this in my pocket. Like, I get to have this in my pocket. So anyway,
that's so good.
Was there like an exercise you want to talk about that you don't have to, but was there an exercise you want to talk about that got rumors going about you?
Yeah, so
a few little rumors.
So rumors?
Yeah. There was the rumor. There's a couple rumors going around the company.
Oh,
it's what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about? I don't want to give it away, man, because it's so neat. Well, so you carry something in your pocket.
Oh, those rumors.
That rumors. We get one. Okay. Was there others? This is a sensation. Let's talk about the other. Okay.
No. Yeah. So here's something very practical. Okay.
Yeah.
So, people will ask me a lot, well, how do you practice gratitude? Right. Well, it's not necessarily something that you just like conjure up in your mind, right? There's a lot of different practices for this, right? There's gratitude journaling, right? You can do that. That's wonderful. But one of the simple practices I've done, I have a number of them. But one of the ones I've done and I've stuck with because I just love it so much is this. I'll keep a single die, right? I'll keep a single dice, right? So dice is plural, die is singular. I keep a single die in my pocket at all times. I just leave it there. I leave it in my pocket, and then I go about my day. And as often as my hand goes in, very similar to what you were saying, Brad. Yeah. And as often as my hand goes into my pocket and I fill the die with my fingertips, I'll pull it out. I'll look at the number that's on the top there, and I'll pause long enough to give thanks for that number of things, right? 4 dots equals 4 items to be thankful for. And then every time I do it, I try to find new things that I haven't given thanks for, right, or been grateful for throughout the day.
And you get a notion to do that so many times, like maybe in meetings.
Yes. And it's so cool too. I mean, you are gamifying the process a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But it's really neat because it forces you to think, as you go over the course of your day, right? I mean, you could be forcing yourself, shifting your mind off of, your situation and looking for 50, 60 new things throughout that day to be thankful for, right? So it's very cool. But here's something funny, Brad.
Yeah.
You mentioned rumors. Let me tell you about a rumor. So I would do this, right? I would do this in staff meetings, and I would do this, right, every once in a while. So I just, around my coworkers, I pull it out, right? And then I look at it. I pause long enough to be thankful for those things, put it back in my pocket. So apparently people had noticed me pulling a single die out of my pocket, looking at it. Yeah. They thought I was like zoning out or spacing out. And then they saw me put it back in their pocket. So there was a rumor that I had like a gambling problem, or they thought that like there was something wrong.
You're right? Like, he's thankful today. It must have been a good day at the crops table.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So they think you're a gambler, And so did someone come up to you at some point to just say, look, dude, what is up with the dies?
Yes. Yes. One of my managers came up to me. He's like, hey, I have to ask. He's like, you keep pulling that, every once in a while you pull that die out of your pocket, and is everything okay? That's exactly how he asked it. I said, oh yeah. I'm like, I'll just explain it. So I pull it out, right? I pull it out and I just explain it like I did with you.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, good. I was worried you had a gambling problem. I'm like, gambling problem? I'm like, really? So it was so funny. Like that's how I learned of that rumor.
And so since then, your other people started doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Yep.
I mean, that, and I love that story because it goes to this idea that, we're not significant, or there's a person, doesn't matter who it was, but very, very famous person that I saw speak. I don't know. It was after the tsunami hit. And what he was saying is, he said this to an audience of like 60,000 people. So he had Moscone 1 and Moscone 2 filled up in San Francisco.
Wow.
And he said, it was a real estate seminar. I had gotten tickets because I donated to PBS. And so I got these tickets, and because of this person, and then there's Tony Robbins, and there's all these other people, and there's a lot of people selling, real estate stuff. I mean, there were people there with like tens of thousands, because it's not cheap, tens of thousands of dollars. So it's like, man, if you're not a multi-billionaire in about 10 years, bro, I'd be mad. So this guy walks out, the tsunami had just happened in Indonesia. And he said this, he goes, at the end of the day, he goes, you don't matter. You could, the air was sucked out of the room, and he just let it hang there. He said, you don't matter apart from what we do for other people.
Yes.
Like we're here to serve. We're here to serve. And I thought, man, that's harsh. That's a heck of a thing to say to 60,000 people that are there to see you. He said, the tsunami hit, and there's 100,000 people lost in the blink of an eye. Is what are we going to do with that? What would you do with that? So what we do, we have to be helping each other, right? Sometimes people say, I heard the first part. And I got thinking about it, and I said, man, we are so consumed with with this, right? This is our world right here. This is it. And that's it. And that's all. My bills, my car, my. This guy, his world was the world, is the entire world. You see what I'm saying? And so it's really interesting. Here you are, author of Militant Thankfulness, going through all of this, and you're saying the same thing, but you're giving tools to get it done. We're going to take one more break. When we come back, man, we're going to just keep going. All right. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
White Husky Films. Dream, create, record. We create ads and promos for your business. We can promote your video on television, Facebook, YouTube, Hulu, and more. We do a full Google SEO analysis for you with any plan. Call us today at 305-744-1444 or visit our website at whitehuskyfilms.com. White Husky Films.
Hey everybody, and welcome back. I am absolutely loving this conversation with Dusty Dahlin, author of Militant Thankfulness. And gosh, so much. I mean, the credits are great, and we're going to get to everything. Um, where we left off, you're explaining the dice in your pocket. You're not a gambler. You're,
Yes.
I don't know if
Yes.
if I could do that, because, at a point in time, you got to be thinking great. You're just feeling great. And so you're like, man, give me a six. Give me a six. I got six things.
Yeah.
Give me a six.
Yeah.
So,
But you know
okay,
what?
man, go ahead.
But Brad, there will be days, right? Because there's no silver bullet to, the feeling, to solving all of the
Yeah,
feelings, right? There
sure.
will be days where you're like, I really want a one. I don't want to, please be a one, right? I don't want to find six things to be thankful
Please
for
be a
too,
one. I don't have
right?
six things to be thankful for.
Right. And you'll feel that way, but the beauty in that is it'll help. It'll help redirect and change your mindset. So
So where we left off is right there. So now you've been with your company, because I want people to put this in perspective. You've been at this company for not going on 10 years. Like, seriously, what,
almost 10.
next year is 10, right? You've survived a layoff. You went from uh in sort of mid-management to where it was like, pay was great. You're looking at six figures. You got kicked down to going back in the field, which I don't know. It's kicked down. That's the wrong. You were transitioned to the field. Fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you've stayed with this company. They've stayed with you. In fact, your manager refuses to let out your office. Is that right? I
It's
love
true.
that. I
It's
love that.
true. Um he has refused to let anybody occupy my old office. He's like, that's your office and I'm not giving it to anybody else, right? Which
I'm
is
gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna tell you why I love that
amazing.
real quick. I'm gonna tell you why I love that real quick. Because people, they 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 don't get better in these situations. A lot of them get bitter. Attrition is high. If I can be so bold, we live in a meme sort of society where we know our worth, and go and if there's nothing to fight for, if there's nothing to fight about, I will find something, because it's my right. All sorts of things where people are searching for meaning. You remember that part in Leap of Faith where he goes, "Hey, let's all give everybody a little meaning." You know what I mean? But
Yes.
it's as fake as that, right? At the end of the day, you might feel the feelings and they're for real, but at the end of the day, come on. So you're talking to your buddy, you have this epiphany, you're like, wow, you go down the rabbit hole, and then you're like, I need to write a book. It's like saying, you know, I'm thinking about climbing Everest. That's what,
Yeah.
people don't get how hard it is to write a book. I'm in the
No, they
middle of
don't.
something, and it is pretty
Especially
insurmountable.
it can be for sure, especially a book that's kind of on a non-sexy topic too, right? Like um if
Yeah,
you want something to sell, right? If you want something to sell, you don't really talk about gratitude. Okay, like if we're being honest.
it,
But
right.
one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book is not only is all the science there, right? But I also couldn't find, Brad, and here's what really pushed me over the edge to write this thing, right? It was a 2-year process, both researching and writing. But what pushed me over the edge is I couldn't truly find a book that talked about gratitude or Thanksgiving or thankfulness as a spiritual discipline that had so much profound impact and benefit to the practitioner. I really couldn't. Like, there was a lot of good stuff out there, a lot of good stuff on gratitude. I'm not saying it's all bad, but what I'm saying is there wasn't something that quite dealt with the magnitude of the Christian practice of thankfulness as the Bible puts it out to us.
Well, and to
Like
be
one
clear, this
example,
isn't. Well, I'm sorry. Don't see. Here we go again. I just told you I wouldn't do it. One of the things that's really interesting about this is, yeah, associate pastor, yeah, seminary, yeah, okay, fine. That your foundation is the Bible and Christianity, but this isn't a churchy book, right? This is like spiritual principles in the practical world.
yes. I mean, I do bring the Christian scripture into it a lot.
Well, sure,
Um,
right. But you know what I mean. Like a lot of times, I remember going when I was a kid, you go to the Christian bookstore, and it was almost to the point where it was like the points lost because we're trying to prove how holy we are. And so, you know what I mean? And so
I
with
do.
your book though, yeah, of course there is, you're a Christian. It's going to be geared toward Christians. But you're citing case studies, you're citing different professors, you're combining what all of a sudden is so amazing, what a breakthrough, with what's been there for thousands of years. I just want to, I just want to tell people that.
No, for sure. And I share a personal story. Every chapter I have a personal story at the
Wow.
beginning. Just because number one, I felt like I could be transparent so
Yeah.
that, the reader and I could go on a journey together and really come to the same revelations that I was having, right?
Yeah.
Like, I talk about once how I've got bad discs, right? I've got a bad disc between L3 and L4, and how I'm shoveling, right. I get off of work, I'm shoveling gravel to make a French drain in the backyard so my kids could have a nice place to play. And I didn't want to because I was tired from work. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I won't spoil it so that you can read it. But like I tell real stories of
Yeah.
real experiences I've had in the real world while practicing gratitude. And it's just a very transparent book. It's an easy and accessible read. I mean, I could have wrote this like a master's thesis and been over
Yeah.
everybody's head, right? Not because I'm so brilliant, but because, academic works can be so heady, they're monotonous. Um, but the point is, it's accessible, it's transparent, and it really focuses in on gratitude as an ancient spiritual discipline that I think we've just kind of lost sight of, right? Because it's not very
Yeah.
sexy, right? It's not very sexy, right? But it's ancient. I mean, this dates back to the Hebrews in the wilderness, right? The Jewish people, when they were recently brought out of captivity in Egypt, dates all the way back there, right? So, I mean, it's very neat. So, a lot of good stuff in there.
That is awesome. That is awesome. I mean, what's really interesting too is your dad, Dr. Mark Dahlin. He is one of my favorite people ever walk the earth. I love Mark. And and I'll always be grateful to him. I used to play music in your church. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was awesome.
It was the best.
But he's not giving you any help here. This is you. This is
100%.
and people are going to start hearing about a hymn coming up next year on some pretty huge platforms. So, and he's done some really great research. And so you want to check that out, Dr. Mark Dolan. But you're a preacher's kid, you're an academic's kid. You've really, this is your life, man. You've lived this, and
Yeah.
so I just think that is absolutely wonderful. Now you're talking about okay, let's get back to the story. Okay, so you have this revelation, you're gonna write the book, you write the book in a couple years, takes you a couple
Took me
years,
about 2 years. Yeah.
about 2 years, and so then you publish, and it was like, Well, hope for the best.
It
It's
was. It
really
was
great.
exactly that, right? It was exactly that. So I, I decided to self-publish, right? Because I was an unknown author at the time. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to self-publish this thing, and
Let's
I'm
just
just
see
gonna
what
push it out
happens.
there. Yeah, let's see what
Yeah.
happens. So I push it out there. I let family, and just a couple close friends know about it. And the next thing I know, I get two phone calls. Uh, two two professors from two different Bible colleges. One's a Bible college and seminary, and they're like, "Hey, Dusty, we read the book, and we want to use it as required reading in one of our spiritual formation classes." And I'm like, "Do we have permission?" Yeah. Like, how exciting is that, right? Like, of course you have permission.
Huge.
Go crazy. Um, so that
Huge.
happened. And
Right. Well, so what are we reading? Bonhoeffer, I don't know, Tyndale, and Dahlin.
yeah,
I
right. I
love
mean, it's just like it's
so
humbling,
cool.
it's exciting, it's all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That is so
that's been
cool.
cool. I mean, I've
But now
got
you're
some.
you're you're also working on some curriculum, right? So you're
I am.
booking speaking engagements and stuff
I
like
am.
that. Your things have changed, since all of this happened with your job. You're going on there 10 years with them. Things are moving and progressing. I mean, that was a season. It was a long season. It's like 2 years, but
Yeah.
you stuck with it. Let me ask you this. Now you've managed people, you've kind of well, kind of, you have guided the careers of several, on your team, high level of excellence and nothing less than that. Um, what do you find, man? When you're looking to hire someone, what's the thing that Dusty looks for?
When I'm looking to hire somebody,
Yeah.
it's going to sound maybe odd, but I want to see their ability to have a conversation and hold a conversation. I want to see their enthusiasm in just a simple conversation as well, right? I want to see if they're just, going through the motions looking for another job, or I want to see if they are kind of excited about the ability to do whatever it is, right? Whether it's church, pest control, Starbucks, right? Just whatever it might be. I want to see them be able to have a conversation, look me in the eye, and to have continue the dialogue back and forth. And the
Mm.
reason why I think that's so important is because just a simple conversation. And yes, it's good to have, you're a hiring manager, right? It is good to have a list of questions. It's good to have, a particular strategy in place to get down to, whether or not this is the right candidate, the right fit for the position you're hiring for. That's important. But for me, one of the biggest things is, are they going to look me in the eye when they're talking to me, right? Um,
Right.
can they be a good representative for the brand, right? By being able to have a conversation, right? An upbeat conversation. Do they sound like they're Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh? I lost my tail again, right? Or are they gonna, are they able to talk to a human being like a human being wants to be talked to?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds a bit odd, but my style for hiring has always been very conversational because you can learn a lot about a person through a simple conversation,
Oh
right?
yeah.
You know this to be true.
That's right. That's right. That's one of the things that concerns me about, AI in and of itself doesn't concern me really. I think, if it's made by humans, I you know, we can work with it. But when it comes to hiring, when it comes to, I don't know if we're there yet. And so before you get to the conversation, there's some questions on there that I quite frankly are embarrassing. And if I had if I had an opportunity to say none ya, be like, none ya, man.
Right.
none your business. So, there's that. But, so I'm finding it to be, the purpose of it is, humans make mistakes and blah, blah, blah. Well, the AI is made by humans. So chances are the AI will make mistakes too. And it sort of kicks people out that maybe would be really, really good, depending on a number of factors that are set by the hiring by the company, So I'm a little on the fence on that. And I know we talked about AI in the beginning of the show. Do you think with hiring we can just have it as a tool, or are we going to rely on it like we began to rely on our phones?
I would caution against relying upon any one tool, right? I think it
Right.
can be used as a tool. I mean, I'll use I'll use AI as a tool in a lot of different aspects of my life and business even now.
Yeah.
But full reliance upon any particular tool, right,
Yeah.
is just going to be dangerous. I mean, anybody can go on a little document and they can plagiarize from somewhere online, making them look very hireable, right? I mean,
Right.
on some text sheet, right? Some resume, an application form. But it just should be one additional tool. It should be one of many, right? And I would just encourage you, if you're a hiring manager, I would definitely encourage you to, ask your questions, but also have a conversation, right? Because I'm finding that a lot of well, it's not just younger. I was going to say younger, but I'm going to correct myself. A lot of people have learned um, the right answers for the script of questions that they'll be asked during an interview, and they'll just regurgitate those the
Right.
right answers, right, quote unquote. But if you can just bring them out of those questions on top of it and have a conversation, see how they do, see who they are, right? Get a feel for who they are as individuals. It's important.
I love that. I love that. So, all right, I want to talk about this. I get it. I get sidetracked on that because I want to get your perspective on everything. I think it's incredible. So, what for your book, you're now accepting speaking engagements, right? So you're planning sort of a I don't know, I don't want to call it a tour, but you're planning you're going on multiple platforms soon and talking
I
about
am.
militant
So,
thankfulness.
yeah, so where I am at now, Brad, as it pertains to the ministry. So where I'm at now is like, this month my calendar is full. I can't do any more um any more speaking or teaching um events. I just can't do it. I'm full this month.
Yeah.
um when it comes to my ministry and the book, right, like I'm putting a lot of this online. I want to build a presence that really shows the value of gratitude, shows the value to Christians, to God's people, of behind the art and science of spiritual formation, all of that stuff. So I'm really building an online presence. I'm still pretty early roots
Uh,
in that. Um, but this whole journey has really reopened my eyes to the value of giving to others, and how I can find value in that as well. And it's launched me into a whole new season of life between speaking, writing. I'm actually, this is still a ways off, but I'm thinking about writing another book. I'm excited about that. I've got a course. I'm building a course right now to help Christians grow and thrive
mm,
in the Lord. So
wow.
I've got some
Now,
really
see,
exciting
I didn't
things.
know about the book. I didn't know about the book. I knew about the curriculum, and I want to talk about that next. Oh my gosh, you're fixing to write into the book?
I am. And I don't know
So
why I'm
awesome.
punishing myself because it's a lot of work, but it's going to be so fun.
That is so cool. So you have so part of this ministry. This is, can they find it at the lamp.com?
Yes. So
Okay.
yeah.
So you
Yep.
so you
Go
go to the
to,
lamp.com. There's so many different things on here. I'm looking at it right now. You got a 52-week challenge. You have some merch. So it'd be great. People need to get lamp merch to
yeah.
help supply and
Hey!
support this business, this ministry. But then you have, you got your blogs on here.
I've got
Um,
a lot of free stuff too. So if you want to
yeah,
really, right, because I want to give away as much as I can. So I got a lot of free stuff. Check it out. I've got a lot of really neat, in-depth Bible studies for you. I've got a couple other resources on there too that can really benefit and enhance your walk with the Lord. It's going to be good.
365 days of praying through scripture. Look at that. I love that. I absolutely love that. You know what? And here's the other thing too. So I know there's resources online, right? So people can find this online. They can download it, their Kindle or their I don't know, their what do you call them? The I'm blanking.
No, they're
Their
Kindle,
pad,
iPad, Audible.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Their tablet. That's what I'm talking about. But you're also selling books, like like books with pages and
Yeah.
words and typed. Look at that. It's awesome. So there's both ways of going. So really, you're looking at what I love about it is that there's not a you're not targeting a demographic. This is from 1 to 92, as Nat King Cole would say.
Right.
And so I absolutely love that. And people can reach out and contact you to book you for engagements at the lamp.
Yep. All through that
Okay.
website.
So
I
the
believe
lamp.com, the lampchurch.com.
thelampchurch.com. It'll be in the show notes below of the
That's
video.
right. The
But
lamp
if you also,
church.
I think you can also schedule me through militantthankfulness.com as well.
Militantthankfulness.com. I mean, just such an amazing resource. I absolutely love this. Okay. The story's not over. The story, I
Mm-mm.
mean, so we're at the I don't know, the end of the beginning.
Yeah, I feel like my journey is just getting started.
Wow.
Um, I mean, it's been a fun, um, it's just been a fun journey to
Yeah.
discovering what really gets me going, right? And yeah, and look, I want to share this because I have this belief that there's a lot of people like me out there who believe that there's more, right? Um, there's more joy, there's more satisfaction, more fulfillment to be experienced. But like me, you didn't know where to start, right? You don't know where to go, right? You don't know how can I have these experiences, right? Purpose, significance, meaning, satisfaction, fulfillment, all these things. And the reason why I'm really getting excited about the direction everything is going is because I want to share with you, I want you to have what I want for myself, right? And what I found for myself. So I'm hoping that I can be a blessing to you as I continue this very exciting journey.
So let's say someone wants to get started, but they don't know how. They listen to your story. They're like, wow, that's really great. But you know, so funny. People will go, well, he had a wife. And we're gonna get to that in a minute. Or
Oh
he
yeah.
had this and he had that. You know what I mean? Regardless of what you have or don't have, rather. Somebody wants to start this. How do they start?
One of the
How?
best places to start is with gratitude. I really do believe that. If you can, I mean, look, buy this or don't buy it. What I want you to do is I want you to start with gratitude, right? So you can start every single morning you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you go onto social media, before you watch your favorite your media, right, news source, what I want you to do is maybe just start um, journaling. Start journaling a number of things, just a list of things that you're thankful about, right? You can start there. You can put some, if you have a Google phone, actually, no, if you have any phone, right? Android or Apple, you can create just a couple reminders. Doesn't have to be too many, otherwise it'll be annoying. Okay, but have a couple reoccurring reminders pop up on your phone throughout the day. Every time that reminder dings, stop and find something to be thankful about, right? Stop and give thanks to God, right? There's so many practical little things you can do to help you actively and intentionally practice gratitude. And that's really what I want you to do. I believe my book can help get that started. But even if you don't do the book, just get started. Just get started.
Get started with gratitude. I love that. I love that. I absolutely love that. So, we've had some pretty amazing guests, I would say. You
Yes.
included, okay? And the thing that I found that is consistent with all of them is the importance of a strong spiritual foundation. And then we're talking about people that have attained a high level of success. You went through your season, that season's over, but wow, what you learned in that season is amazing. How important is it? How important is it? For example, your book, is it for everyone, or is it for like everyone meaning multiple belief systems, or
No,
is it for just Christians?
it's predominantly for Christians, because I talk about gratitude as a Christian spiritual discipline.
Okay.
It's mostly for there. If you're not a Christian, I think you could get a lot out of it just because of how I structured my story into every single chapter. So I think you could get something out of it. But if you're not a Christian, it might not be for you.
Okay.
I do believe, though, going back to what you're saying, I do believe, Brad, that you talked about having a spiritual core, right, or a spiritual foundation. I do believe that we have a spiritual side to all of us, human beings, whether we're Christian or not, right? I believe that all of us have a bit of a desire for some sort of spiritual fulfillment. And I think that might be why you mentioned it as a common thread across these interviews. I think that might be why you're seeing that as a common thread, because it's part of us. I believe it's part of the human condition, right? Is a desire for something spiritual, not just meaningful, but spiritual as well.
Something, here we go, something beyond ourselves.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
What would you say to the person that, maybe they just, like, nobody wants to hire them? Like, it's like, man, I got all this experience, I'm really good, what in the world's going on? What would you say to that person? What should they
I
do
would
to yeah
I would encourage you to just keep your head up, keep filling out the applications, keep putting in your resumes. Don't give up. Number one. Number two, use this as a season, like I did with mine. Use it as a season to really do some deep, meaningful introspection, some reflection. See, kind of get a feel for who you are, what drives you, what are you excited about, right? What do you have, right? Check this out. This is important. Think about what you're excited about in your current season, not about what you can be excited about in the future. I think that's a trap that a lot of us can fall into. So if you think about the little things, right? Little things in your life that really keep you going now, think about those. Think about why they keep you going. Think about why you're grateful for those things, and just keep your head up, keep filling out the applications, keep sending in the resumes, and do that introspection. I think it's a lost art out here.
Got that right. Got that right. Would it be the same if someone is in a situation that they just, they feel like they're not appreciated at work, maybe,
100%.
you know what I mean? Same
100%.
application.
No, 100%. Whether you're an entry level, right? Entry level employee, mid-level manager, right? VP, executive, whatever you are, right? I believe it's the same across the board. And I want to give you one quick story about why I think this is important for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. I know a lady personally. She's wonderful. She makes $1 million a month. You caught that, right?
I
Just want
did.
to be clear, right?
Yep.
She's successful. She's wealthy. She's doing great, but she is one of the most miserable human beings in the world. She is unhappy. She's unsatisfied. She's unfulfilled. And it's because I don't think she stopped long enough to really find the things in her life to be thankful for. I mean, she and I, right, we went through an entire summer together where the big drama in her life was she doesn't know if she should build a third story onto her estate to build this incredible home theater, or if she needed to tear out the tennis courts in the back of her estate. Like, oh, she was afflicted. She was suffering, right?
I understand that. I get that.
Yeah, I know. It's hard. But the purpose of me telling this little story is, you know, I think no matter where we are in life, we really do rob ourselves by not shifting our minds off of self from time to time and finding things for which we can be grateful. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's so important.
Really interesting. A lot of times, we gauge, these problems that we have, right? And we base them, on income. If you're wealthy, if you're not, if you're poor, if you're not making any money. And what's interesting, like for example, we know alcoholics, and it gets to the point where they're not drinking because they like the taste. They're drinking because it's a symptom of another problem, of a bigger problem. With her, with the tennis court and the third story, hey, it has to do with the tennis court and third story. She's going through something that she's not recognizing. And how important is it in business to practice these principles? Militant thankfulness, starting with gratitude. It is so imperative. The job becomes a mission, right? The mission becomes an imperative. It's like I said at the beginning, we talk about, loving people. I'm getting real tired of hearing people say God is love. No, love is love, God is God. God loves, but you know what I mean? But love is not co-signing undestructive behavior. It's just not. Sorry. Love is correcting destructive behavior. And if we're looking at it and we're being real, there's a lot of things in this country, for example, that I think we lost sight of. Like you said, I think we lost sight of it. And we forgot the great, like back in the days. I mean, you have people that worked in the fields, right? Like every day it was life or death. I got to plow that field. I have to plant that seed. I have to harvest. If we don't harvest, we can't eat. Period. So I think we lost that, to where, my grandfather, they had a farm in West Virginia.
when he was growing up. And he used to tell me stories all the time, about how, hard it was, how hard he worked, and all this stuff. And what I found interesting is he was so grateful. Grandmother too. My grandmother, she came from merchants, in the same area, close to the same area. And they just lived a life of, it was hard, but it was worth it.
Absolutely.
I think we've lost it, but I think we're finding it. And things
I
that you're
think we're
doing
moving in the
is
right direction.
pendulums, man.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, people are looking for truth. When you say people looking for truth, or when anybody says it, there's this idea that it's a philosophical, your truth, my truth, their truth, everybody's truth. It's not what I'm saying. The truth is a truth is a truth is a truth. Or more to the point, the truth and fact, right? Despite nuances, the truth is the truth, facts are facts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I think people have been lied to so much by people they respect, they trust, they loved. Could be family, could be a politician. I mean, you should expect it. I mean, don't be. I mean, just kidding. We love, those politicians. I have a good friend who is an incredible guy, politician. But you know why he wins? Well, actually, he lost his seat the cycle before this last one, and he's just real. He is absolutely 1,000% truthful with his constituents, and they love him for it.
That's good.
You know what I mean? We have someone coming on, I think the end of the month. The guy's been a voice for the voiceless, I mean, and you know what I'm. So anyway, the point is that we've been lied to so much. And books like Militant Thankfulness, and now people, if people didn't know you, they see your heart, they know the story. It's very strange. Like in the past, it just came to me in the past couple months. I've seen a lot of videos where men are working and they have kids, or then a wife and kids, 1, 2, whatever. And times are hard, inflation's high, everything's more expensive now, and he's not eating. He's working his tail off, and he's not eating. That's what happened to you.
It is.
And brother, I'll just say it. Maybe you went through those times for such a time as right now.
I think so. And I would love to just give a final exhortation as well, because you're weaving it in so perfectly, right? I want to encourage you to think for yourselves, right? Think for yourselves. Practice gratitude. Think for yourselves, right? I think a lot of people share my story as well, in the sense that, we kind of take in, right, whatever the media tells us to think about, or social media tells us to think, and we start thinking those things, and then we start believing they're true, and then they become our truth, right? But I want to encourage you to think for yourself. Do that, engage in some reflection, so that you can really start thinking for yourself in terms of, why you're here. What legacy are you going to leave? What is there to be thankful for in your life, right? Because it's just really important, Brad. I think you're talking about truth. Yes, right? Truth is more than just a thought bubble that's given to you by CNN or Fox News, right? Like there's more to life than just what we hear about on the news. Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you to just take some time, do some reflection, find as many opportunities as you can throughout the day to practice gratitude. It really will help you work your career with excellence, right? If you can reclaim a sense of mission for others, sense of meaning in serving others and giving to others, right? The warning, my final warning, is if you don't think for yourself and you just continue to live a life where it's all about what you can extract from other people, it's going to be miserable. You're going to worry about the tennis courts or the third story on that estate. Like, just
Yeah.
want to encourage you with the final thoughts. Want to give you as much freedom as I can give you with some of these little pieces of the pie here.
That is so good. That's so good, man. I just don't want this conversation to end. I really don't. I think we've gone into 2 or 3 parters with this.
Sounds good.
And I'm so honored. I really am. And I'm so thankful that you came on. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Now we'll have the links to all of Dusty's where you can find him, where you can buy his book. I would encourage you to buy his book. And when you finish up with your courses, brother, oh my gosh, it's amazing to me that we literally have to have courses on different things like being thankful and having gratitude. But you know what? Praise the Lord. Let's do it, right? Let's do it. So you're going to, these are the same places that you can be booked to speak. You can go to Militant Thankfulness. Let me see. Is it militantthankfulness.com. You can also go to thelampchurch.com to find Dusty. And I don't know. I don't mean to be out of bounds, but I'm encouraging people to get in contact with you right away. I think the only person that's going to be maybe monitoring is probably your wife, but and you guys are just such a great team, such an amazing team. And wow, I just have the utmost respect for her and for y'all. And I'm just so thrilled you came on, Dusty. Thank you. I am
my pleasure.
Incredibly
I've
grateful.
really enjoyed our time together, Brad.
Brother, I really feel like this is going to help a lot of people. I really do. And God is so immeasurably good. I'm sorry. I have to say it.
Amen.
So everyone, thank you for joining us today. I know you've gotten a lot out of it. I certainly have. Again, find Dusty at the links below, thelampchurch.com, militantthankfulness.com. Get his book. You will not be sorry. And of course, when the curriculum comes out, you'll be the first to know. So as we close every single show, know this, that I love you and God bless you. Let his face shine upon you and give you great peace. Be excellent to yourself and each other. And for everyone at White Husky Films and for everyone at Work Your Career Wednesday, we just love you to bits. Stay tuned next week. And Dusty, one more time, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This conversation really, really blessed me. And I got to tell you, on a personal note, it came right on time for me. So I really hope it blesses you. And again, you can get his book at the links below, Militant Thankfulness. And be sure to follow him everywhere you can on social media, as well as going here on YouTube, the Lamp, or if you can go to thelampchurch.com. Or you can also get his book at militantthankfulness.com. The links are all down there. Please feel free to go there and find out more about it and grab his book and all that stuff. But anyway, thank you so much again for joining us. We have more great shows in store, so stick around. And for everyone here at White Husky Films and Work Your Career Wednesday, I'm Bradley Clark. And I got to tell you that I love you. And God bless you. Let his face shine upon you and give you great peace. Be excellent to yourself and each other. And we'll see you next week.
Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. Hey, if you like Work Your Career Wednesday and want to be notified every single time we have a new episode, like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Smash it. Get a hammer and get it. And
Yeah, that's fine.
too much?
No, that's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I love it. People want.
Do you hear Steven in the background? I was just making sure I'm going to be okay. But get that notification going. And hey, we will be letting you know, or I guess YouTube will be letting you know, when the next Work Your Career Wednesday is on. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Man, ding it, ring it, sling it, and bing it. All right? And we will see you soon. Work Your Career Wednesday. Oh, great. I'm glad you stopped by. Be sure to get that subscription bell, and I'll see you there.